Last week, we reported on the shocking news of a knife attack at a summer dance class in the English town of Southport, which tragically resulted in the death of 3 girls. Several others were injured. Sadly, some people have used the tragedy as an excuse to cause more violence around the country. False information about the attacker was quickly spread online. He was incorrectly labelled a Muslim immigrant, and claims like this seemed to spark violence by a group of people with extreme views on immigration. Many of the rioters support what's called the far right, which is against people settling in Britain if they weren't born here. The first riot started in Southport, where a mosque was targeted, shops were broken into, police were injured, and their cars were set on fire. The riots have spread across the country, with the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, holding emergency meetings with the police to discuss how to tackle the violence, which he condemns as racism.
This is not protest. It is organised, violent thuggery, and it has no place on our streets or online. To those who feel targeted because of the colour of your skin or your faith, I know how frightening this must be. I want you to know that this violent mob do not represent our country, and we will bring them to justice.
Residents who have witnessed the violence on their streets have been coming together to clear up the mess caused by the rioters. And as well as the Prime Minister, many others have spoken out about how the views of this small group of people are not what the majority of the British public believe. We heard from Dr. Krish Kandaya, who runs a charity that helps refugees who have fled danger or war in their countries and are now living in the UK.
I'm so sorry if you or your family are feeling nervous, unsettled, or even frightened by the violence that's been taking place around the UK. This is a small group of people that have been whipped up by misinformation they've read online to cause chaos and violence, particularly against people who have moved to the UK. They might have moved to the UK generations ago, like my family, or they might have come more recently. They are often targeting people based on the colour of their skin, and that's called racism, and we have to oppose that. But they're also blaming migration for some of the problems that our country is facing right now, whether that's a lack of housing, whether it's long NHS waiting lists, or whether it's just the cost of living crisis. And that's really unfair to blame this group when actually everybody from all sorts of backgrounds across the UK are facing the same struggles. But it's an age-old approach to blame people that look different to others. On top of focusing on migrants, they've actually focused specifically on asylum seekers. And some of the hotels that have been used for asylum seekers have been targeted. One was set on fire recently. It must have been terrifying to have to leave your country because of war or terror and move to the UK to find safety and then find an angry mob trying to burn your hotel down. I think we need to take comfort that the police really are cracking down on these organised gangs of criminals, and they are prosecuting them, and pretty soon I'm sure peace and order will be restored. But in the meantime, as you have opportunity, I think the best way that we fight this kind of hatred is with hospitality and kindness.
Well, during the week, thousands of people have been doing just that. Counter-protesters who hugely outnumbered the rioters took to the streets to show their support for migrant families and refugees, and that racism won't be tolerated in their communities.